Thanks, Chief. Next up is Denny Costerison, representing the schools organizations in Indiana. Denny.
Thanks, Matt. Good morning. My main goal here today is to get you some information about what the impact would be on the public schools. And that's the key here. And I will tell you right now that any further loss of revenue to our public schools would be detrimental. That's just the fact. And so we can't lose any more dollars than we already have. And let me go through some of the things recently that have happened to the public schools. That again, the money has not been replaced for public schools. In 2010, we lost over $300 million was taken away from the state for public schools. Again, for our school distribution formula, for the dollars we use to pay teachers and so forth and so on. That money was taken away and has never been replaced, and we never expect to get that. We now have school districts who their budgets that they have now for their general funds are at the same levels they were in 2009, and here we are in 2014. That's never been made up, and they've never had any revenue to make that up. So that's a problem we've had in the past. We're really concerned about the future of school funding in the state, and I've talked to some of the fiscal leaders about this, and they're very concerned about this. And this does tie back to this because, again, we're talking about loss of revenue. As all of you know, we are, meaning public schools, are dependent upon the state of Indiana as far as our funding for our general funds. In 2005, the General Assembly made the decision to no longer have property taxes in our general fund. So we are dependent upon income tax and sales tax and the state budget. And so when you take a look at, again here, what happened in December, when the state revenue forecast was reduced by $750 million, that gets our attention. Those are dollars that are not going to be available for, again, a lot of services, but specifically the public schools. This session of the General Assembly, for whatever reason, many new programs are in legislation. Again, no appropriations because they're saying, well, we'll do it next year. Where's that money going to come from? For things such as early childhood, adult learners, things that we support, but where does the money come from? And again, here again, we're talking about more reductions to us. And when you talk to the fiscal leaders, and you talk to them privately, again, they talk about what is going to be the future impact on the state budget of the Affordable Care Act, the loss of the tobacco settlement monies, how they're going to make that up, and all these things. Again, why are they important to us? Because again, we are dependent upon, again, the state of Indiana for all of our revenue and our general fund. So that's why, again, the future state funding for schools is so important. It's already been mentioned about circuit breaker losses and the whole issue of protected taxes. I think public schools are impacted by the protected taxes statute more than the other units of government, but the circuit breaker definitely is a problem. And I will tell you here that again, if we look at these and analyze those school districts who are impacted the worst by the circuit breaker, the reason is because of a loss of assessed valuation. They're in areas where they're having tremendous losses of assessed valuation. Under these provisions, if you eliminate or partially or phase out the business personal property tax, you are going to eliminate assessed valuation. It makes the problem worse for those school districts. And I think the key here is that we will see other school districts that are really going to be impacted. Again, it was mentioned about Spencer County, but Gibson County, Steuben County, others that now are not on what I would call our list of districts that are being hurt the worst by the circuit breaker and protected taxes. They're going to be on that list. And all of a sudden, they, again, less revenue to them through, again, a process here that has, again, loss of assessed valuation. That is the key. For school corporations, the main thing is the loss in our capital projects fund. Capital projects fund is a rate-driven fund, so therefore its base assessed valuation is so important to that fund. Loss of assessed valuation, less dollars. That is where we buy our technology, which is so important for again, students at this time. Maintaining our buildings, keeping again, them clean, and so we don't also have leaking roofs and so forth. Again, those dollars are dwindling away. And lastly, the safety, which now we hear so much about, but that's where the money comes to make sure that those school buildings and the students and faculty inside are safe. That's important to us. The bottom line here is that we believe, at least from the public schools, we've been hit a lot with a lot of losses, and we don't need any more reductions without replacement of dollars. There's no doubt that having financially strong public schools, again, is great for the well-being of the state, for economic development, for all of our other units of government, I think, would agree with this, and especially for the expectations that our parents and our communities have of what public schools are about. And so at this time, again, the bottom line here is that we cannot lose any more revenue, and that's why we're part of this coalition and we want to move forward, and again, we'd be happy to answer any questions when we get to that point.